Manchester City continues to spark great discussions, especially when it comes to some of its stars and the recent events surrounding the team. In a recent match against Wolverhampton, Pep Guardiola made it clear that a standout player in the squad has an uncertain future at the club. Furthermore, a commentator explained why Haaland's return might pose a challenge for Guardiola himself. Meanwhile, a City striker spoke about how moving to the club represents the fulfillment of a personal dream. Let's dive into the key events of this week, so stay tuned. Don't forget to like and subscribe to stay updated on everything related to Manchester City. Recently, Manchester City secured a narrow 1-0 victory over Wolverhampton. While fans celebrated yet another crucial win as the season nears its end, one player was far from the euphoria of victory: Jack Grealish. The forward, who was acquired for an impressive $100 million, is seeing his situation at the club become increasingly difficult. As City edges closer to qualifying for the Champions League, with Kevin De Bruyne scoring the only goal of the match, attention is also turning to Grealish's own situation. The player, who had some opportunities throughout the season, has been losing his place and was not used during the game against Wolves, even missing out on a spot on the substitutes bench. This move by Guardiola sent a clear message: the player doesn't have a certain future in the team. Grealish has been sidelined for a large portion of City's last 18 games, and this is the 10th time he has not played in an important sequence of matches. For a player with such a reputation and cost, this is at the very least concerning. So far, Grealish's season has been marked by only 3 goals and 5 assists, numbers that fall short of the expectations created when he was signed. Despite his situation, Grealish seems to be happy at City and has expressed his desire to stay at the club. However, with a busy transfer market and interest from several clubs, such as Aston Villa, Tottenham, and Newcastle, it's possible that the player will have to make an important decision. The 2026 World Cup is approaching, and the lack of minutes could hurt his chances of being called up for the tournament, which would make his stay in Manchester even more challenging. Therefore, he will have to consider his options in the coming months, and a move might be the best choice for his professional future. Fans, in turn, remain divided. Some believe that Grealish should fight for his place and stay at City, while others believe that his departure would be the best path for him to regain his rhythm at another club. What do you think? Should Jack Grealish stay at Manchester City, or is it time to look for new horizons? Another major topic circulating in Manchester City's world is Erling Haaland's return. The Norwegian striker suffered an ankle injury in March during City's win over Bournemouth in the FA Cup quarter-finals, which kept him sidelined for a considerable amount of time. However, the good news for fans is that Haaland is in the recovery phase and has already started training. Pep Guardiola confirmed that Haaland is back in training and is targeting a return for the FA Cup final, scheduled for May 17th. There's even a possibility that the striker could play a few minutes in the match against Southampton to get match fitness before joining the rest of the team at Wembley. Although Haaland's return is great news for Manchester City, some believe his return could bring complications for Guardiola himself. Commentator Tim Sherwood was one of the voices to raise this point. According to him, the team has been performing well without Haaland, showing a more dynamic and aggressive style of play. The absence of the Norwegian striker allowed City to play with more freedom up front, pressing higher and creating opportunities more fluidly. However, Sherwood acknowledges that Haaland is a machine, and when he returns to his best, he will be crucial for the team in the final stretch of the season. Pep Guardiola, for his part, also admitted that he considered putting Haaland on the field in the match against Wolves, but with only 2 training sessions after his return, he decided to keep him on the bench and give other players a chance. Guardiola's decision seems to have been wise, as the team continues to perform strongly in the competition, and Haaland needs time to regain his rhythm before becoming a decisive presence again. The big debate now is whether Manchester City is playing better without Haaland. Can the team maintain its high level of performance without the presence of the goalscorer, or will Haaland's return give the squad even more strength, making City unbeatable? Stay tuned, as the answer to these questions will likely unfold in the coming weeks when City faces important challenges, such as the FA Cup final and the fight for the Premier League. While discussions around some of the key figures at Manchester City dominate the headlines, another player has stood out as a promising future talent. We're talking about Caioo, the talented Brazilian forward who joined City during the summer transfer window of 2024. The player was one of the few signings made by Manchester City, which already had a strong squad after securing their fourth consecutive Premier League title. Caioo, however, has shown that he has great potential to shine at the Etihad. In a recent interview with the club's official website, Caioo spoke about the excitement of moving to Manchester City, describing the experience as the fulfillment of a dream. For him and his family, joining a club of City's magnitude was an objective achieved after years of hard work. The forward has been increasingly confident on the field, showing his speed and skill to take on opponents. With a promising future ahead, Caioo could become an important figure in Manchester City's attack in the coming years. Although City's squad already features prominent players like Phil Foden, Jack Grealish, Bernardo Silva, and Jeremy Doku, Caioo has proven to be an excellent option for the future. His ball control and vision of the game are qualities that make him a great asset for the team. As the summer transfer market approaches, Manchester City may not be looking for new wingers, but if an opportunity arises to further strengthen the attack, the club will certainly evaluate the available options. However, Caioo's future at Manchester City looks bright. The player is just starting his journey, but he's already showing that he has everything it takes to become a star at the club. Now, the big question is, will Caioo become the new idol of Manchester City, or is it too early to make predictions? What do you think? Does he have what it takes to shine in Manchester? In addition to Caioo, another player who has been gaining attention recently is Maximo Perrone, a young Argentine midfielder who has been showing great potential. Perrone was acquired by Manchester City in the 2022-23 season, when the club won the historic treble. But since his arrival, his playing time has been limited, as City's midfield boasts several high-level options. To provide the player with more experience, Perrone was loaned to Como in Italy, where he has been standing out in the second division of Italian football. There, he has been trained by none other than former player and football icon Cesc Fabregas. The experience under Fabregas's guidance has been very positive, with Perrone showing considerable growth in his game. During Manchester City's preseason last year, we saw glimpses of Perrone's talent, especially in the match against Celtic when he came on in the second half and scored a goal, showcasing his quality and vision of the game. Now, discussions surrounding his future have taken a new direction. Como has triggered the option to keep Perrone for another season, but Manchester City is also considering the possibility of making the player's transfer permanent to the Italian club. This decision has not been finalized yet, but negotiations are ongoing. City, as always, is interested in maintaining some form of control over the future of their young talents, which may include buyback clauses, sell-on percentages, and other conditions that protect the club should the player develop into a valuable asset. Maximo Perrone has shown that he has a bright future ahead, and his experience at Como can only help him grow even further. Manchester City is keeping a close eye on his progress, and depending on how he evolves, the club may decide to include him in their long-term plans. However, Perrone's departure could also be an opportunity for the player to gain more playing time at a club that places strong faith in him. The big question is, should Manchester City let Perrone go permanently, or would it be better to continue monitoring his development and keep him as a future option? The decision on his future will likely be made in the coming weeks, but the most important thing is that the player is standing out and showing that he has everything to become a great talent, regardless of his final destination. As Manchester City nears the conclusion of another successful season, there are many challenges ahead for Pep Guardiola and his coaching staff. While the team has maintained a high level of performance, some issues within the squad remain unresolved. With the end of the season approaching, Guardiola will need to deal with some inevitable departures and also the arrival of new players to strengthen the team. The departure of key figures, such as Kevin De Bruyne, who is likely to leave the club in the summer, and the potential departure of players like Jack Grealish, who has not been central to recent matches, leaves the squad with some gaps. Manchester City, in turn, is keeping an eye on the transfer market, with high expectations of bringing in reinforcements to help fill these gaps and continue Guardiola's winning philosophy. Rumors suggest that City is interested in Florian Wirtz, one of the rising stars in world football. The player has been watched for some time, and the club sees him as a potential replacement for De Bruyne's departure. However, with so many pieces of the squad needing adjustments and the club looking for options to further strengthen the team, Guardiola will have to be strategic. Maintaining a balance between integrating new players and preserving the core that has already won titles is a complex task, but Guardiola is known for handling this pressure impressively. Furthermore, with the focus of the season on the upcoming competitions, such as the FA Cup final and the fight for the Premier League title, Pep will have to make tough choices regarding his lineup. Will he continue to trust players like Jack Grealish, who has been losing ground, or will he seek new options for the open positions? And with the return of Haaland, how will he fit the goal-scorer back into the team's system without compromising the collective performance that City has shown without him? These are important questions that Pep Guardiola will need to answer soon. The future of Manchester City is full of uncertainties, but one thing is clear. Guardiola's vision and his ability to build a competitive team will be crucial to ensuring that City remains one of the most dominant clubs in world football. As Manchester City nears the end of the season, the outlook for the future is both exciting and challenging. With a high-quality squad but some issues to address, the team will need to continue its pursuit of excellence both on and off the field. The addition of new players, the departure of some key names, and the return of others, like Erling Haaland, will shape the course of City in the coming seasons. The big uncertainty surrounding Manchester City is how the team will balance maintaining its current success with making the necessary changes to continue evolving. Guardiola has shown to be a master at adapting his strategies to circumstances, but the squad will need reinforcements to ensure the team stays at the top of European football. The departure of stars like Kevin De Bruyne and the evolution of players like Jack Grealish will be aspects to closely monitor. Meanwhile, emerging talents like Caioo and Maximo Perrone could be the names that ensure the club's future. Betting on promising young players is always an important part of Manchester City's long-term plan, and players like them could be key to building a new cycle of success. However, Guardiola's big challenge will be integrating these new pieces without losing the essence of his victorious team. As the summer transfer window approaches, Manchester City finds itself in a strategic position. The club has been highly effective in its market moves over the past few years, signing quality players who not only complement the squad, but also strengthen specific areas of the team. What makes this window even more crucial is the potential for some important departures, such as Kevin De Bruyne, and the need for reinforcements in several positions, including the replacement of players who have not been able to deliver the expected level. The summer 2024 transfer market promises to be busy for Manchester City, particularly with regard to attacking players. As mentioned, the name of Florian Wirtz has been associated with the club, and the possibility of bringing in a young star like him could be key to continuing Guardiola's work. Wirtz is a highly skilled midfielder with excellent vision, the type of player who could fill the gap left by De Bruyne, and his arrival could signal a new chapter in the team's evolution. However, the big question remains: how to balance the signings with the need to maintain the stability of the group that has achieved so much in recent years. Guardiola is a coach who places great importance on squad dynamics, and any change must be carefully considered to avoid disrupting the collective. The departure of players such as Jack Grealish or Bernardo Silva could open space for new arrivals, but the ability to integrate these new players harmoniously into the team will be essential. Furthermore, with the market becoming increasingly competitive and clubs willing to invest large amounts to strengthen their squads, Manchester City will need to be prepared to handle heavy competition for standout players. This means that, in addition to their transfer strategy, the club will also need to stay alert to the potential departure of more stars, as has happened with other key figures in recent years. The return of Erling Haaland to Manchester City is one of the most talked about topics as the season comes to a close. After an ankle injury that kept him off the pitch for a few weeks, the Norwegian giant is now in recovery and preparing for his return to the team. Haaland, already one of the biggest attacking references in world football, made an immediate impact at City upon his arrival, and his absence during this injury period was felt, but the team has managed to adapt successfully. However, what many people don't consider when talking about the impact of Haaland's return is how he might affect the team dynamics. During his absence, Manchester City found a new way to play, with greater offensive mobility and a higher press on the opponent's field. The team, led by Kevin De Bruyne, has shown itself to be capable of adapting without the presence of a fixed striker, which raises the question, will Haaland, with his physical presence and more stationary playing style, be able to fit back in without disrupting the team's fluidity? The key to Haaland's success upon his return will be his ability to reintegrate into the collective intelligently. Pep Guardiola will need to adjust his strategies to maximize the striker's potential while maintaining the quality of the team play that City has demonstrated without him. The challenge will be how to balance the fluid, dynamic play that the team has been practicing recently while still utilizing Haaland's presence and goal-scoring instinct to be decisive in the most important matches. Internal competition and the evolution of Manchester City. Another key factor for Manchester City to remain at the top is internal competition. The quality within City's squad is so high that every player, even the most experienced, must continue proving their worth with each game. This creates an environment of constant evolution, where all players must stay at their best level to secure a place in the starting lineup. This kind of healthy competition is something Guardiola has always encouraged, and it is one of the pillars that allow Manchester City to remain a winning machine, both in the Premier League and in international competitions. With the arrival of new talents, such as Caioo, and the possible arrival of other players, Manchester City is building a promising future. However, it will be necessary to ensure that young talents like Caioo and veterans such as Bernardo Silva and Jack Grealish find their place in the team, making the most of their skills without disrupting the harmony of the group. It is in this scenario that Pep Guardiola's role becomes even more crucial. The Spanish coach is a master at getting players to adapt to different systems and styles of play. He has shown over the years that he knows how to get the best out of his players, whether it's dominating possession or pressing high on the field. Now, Guardiola will need to use all of his experience to balance the team and ensure that new additions and key players integrate effectively. As Manchester City's future continues to be shaped, there is a growing sense of optimism regarding the potential of its new players. Caioo, the young Brazilian forward, is a clear example of how the club has become an attractive destination for young talent from around the world. In his first appearances, Caioo demonstrated quality and confidence, and his recent interview with the club's official website, where he revealed that joining Manchester City was a dream come true for him and his family, reflects the passion and motivation he has to make a name for himself at the club. The arrival of players like Caioo at City is proof of the environment Guardiola and the club's management have created. Manchester City has become a platform for young players to grow and become international stars. For Caioo, the opportunity to work with renowned coaches and experienced players like Kevin De Bruyne, Haaland, and others is a privilege, and he is aware that his journey is just beginning. This kind of positive mentality and ambition is what makes Manchester City so special. The club has a recent history of bringing in talent from all parts of the world, and Caioo is just another example of how the team is preparing for the future. The expectation is that he, along with other young players, will play a key role in continuing the club's success in the coming seasons. Thus, with many moves and expectations for Manchester City's future, the club continues to prepare for a season full of challenges and opportunities. With Haaland's return, the impact of new signings like Caioo, and the potential departures of key players, the future of City looks promising but also full of important decisions to be made. And you, Manchester City fan, what do you think of all these changes and moves? Is the team on the right track for more victories? Share your opinion in the comments below. Don't forget to leave a like if you enjoyed the content and subscribe to the channel to stay updated on all things about the club. We're always bringing you the latest news and analysis on Manchester City. Thank you for following us up to this point, and we'll see you in the next video. Come on, City!